Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson here on the weather desk on 13 News Now Plus. I'm a certified broadcast meteorologist based in Norfolk, Virginia, or you can also say Virginia Beach as well. Here on the weather desk, we talk about the top weather headlines. Sometimes that comes from here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. Sometimes it comes from other states across the United States. Sometimes it comes from other countries across the world. So we'll talk about all those three places in this edition of the weather desk this morning. I hope you're having a great start to your day. We're going to actually go back in time just a little bit. We're going to do a recap of the very blusterly cold weekend we had in Hampton Roads, where we saw wind gusts exceed 60 miles per hour in some areas. Plus, we also had an extreme cold warning, multiple cold weather advisories. I'll talk about the differences in that and again recap those winds that we saw. Plus, look at some snow pictures we got from the course of the weekend. Also watching for winter weather impacts at home here in the United States and then abroad. We have some areas over in other countries that have some winter weather that we'd like to talk about today. Plus, kind of the flip side of that, when we go from winter weather just to regular plain Jane rain, it can lead to some big issues. So we're talking flooding throughout portions of Spain. And then I'll talk again about your Hampton Roads work week outlook and how temperatures will spike tomorrow and fall throughout the course of the work week. And I'll tell you what to expect as a little bit of a glimpse into your Valentine's Day weekend. So if you weren't out and about through any point of the weekend, you may have noticed some gusty winds. And just how strong were those winds from this weekend? Here's a few of those wind gusts that I found. Thankfully, Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis had this list on his Facebook page. So let's talk about the wind gusts this weekend. Walbs Island came at number 1, where we had a wind gust of 64 miles per hour this weekend, and a lot of those strongest wind gusts were on Saturday. Then you get into Virginia Beach, just shy of that top spot. 63 mile per hour gust was reported in Virginia Beach. In Poquoson, we had a 56 mile per hour wind gust. Newport News, 55 miles per hour. And then Norfolk, specifically at Naval Station, Norfolk, we did have a wind gust of 53 miles per hour. So a very windy weekend paired with very cold air. You get those combinations, and we are talking this big push of some of that winter weather that we could see and turn into these cold weather advisories. Also, the potential of seeing some of those extreme cold warnings. Now, let's talk about the cold weather advisories and what the criteria is for that. These are issued when you have this. I'm going to take this. This is my lotion I was using earlier because, of course, with the cold weather, I get really dry skin. So again, for the cold weather advisory is issued when we have unseasonably cold air that creates an inconvenience to life. That's the definition given out by the Weather Service. And then specifically for Hampton Roads, because it does vary across the Commonwealth, for a cold weather advisory to be issued, feels like temperatures need to be 10 degrees or lower in this case. And again, we had that opportunity a few times during the course of this past weekend. And then potential hazards are frostbite and hypothermia. They're usually accelerated when you have dangerously cold temperatures like these. We also had an extreme cold warning on Sunday morning. That criteria feels like temperatures 0 or below. And we had a few areas that went below 0 for feels like temperatures on Sunday morning. Again, that criteria changes as you head towards places like Richmond, where the criteria for an extreme cold warning feels like temperatures 5 below 0 or colder. So again, depends on where you are. The closer you are to the coast, the higher or warmer those temperatures can be to get these different advisories. But it's also a good point to make that we still have a cold weather advisory in place this morning through 10 a.m. for wind chills 10 degrees or colder. I have seen some areas around the eastern shore, specifically Chincoteague, hit that 1 degree mark, but most areas are now in the teens. So this advisory should expire by the time we get into the top of the next hour. It's also a good time to recap our weather terminology as well and talk about the differences between a watch, an advisory, and a warning. A watch is a heads up, so it's kind of like you have all the ingredients to bake cookies, but the cookies aren't in the oven and done yet. So all the ingredients are there for the winter weather. It just hasn't started yet. And usually that's a heads up 2 days prior, so 24 to 48 hours out of the winter event. An advisory means that inclement weather is on the way. Now, when it comes to a winter weather advisory, usually means inclement weather, maybe a couple of inches of snow, maybe a little bit of ice. That could trigger a winter weather advisory. But when it comes to any types of warnings, that means that the most severe potential is there, where a winter storm warning would be some of those in terms of snow accumulations up to maybe 3 to 4+ inches of snow. When we talk about the cold weather advisory versus extreme cold warning, the advisory is for feels like temperatures 10 degrees and below. The extreme cold warning is much colder, much more dangerous, with the feels like temperatures at 0 or below. Now, when you have gusty winds and you have cold air, it makes the actual air temperature feel so much colder, and we call that the wind chill. Meteorologist Hunter Forrest explains what it means and how it was discovered.
You've probably heard the term wind chill in winter forecasts, a measure of how quickly your body loses heat in the wind. The idea actually dates back to the 1940s, when Antarctic explorers wanted to understand why exposed skin froze so fast. They ran experiments measuring how quickly water froze in strong winds, discovering that moving air pulls heat away much faster than calm air. That research led to the wind chill index, a way to estimate how cold it feels on your skin when wind is factored in. Scientists later refined the formula using human heat loss studies, and the modern version we use today gives a more realistic picture of frostbite risk. But if you don't want to calculate it yourself, you can always use the handy-dandy wind chill chart. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forrest.
Now, on top of it being so brutally cold, like I said, I was working this weekend. I saw some of those feels like temperatures dropping to 0 or below. It was cold, but we also didn't leave unscathed when it came to some snow. And while the snow wasn't significant on Saturday morning, some parts of Hampton Roads did see a little bit of accumulation. These photos were taken on Friday night and into Saturday morning of a very picturesque portions of the peninsulas. Residents in Yorktown, Hayes, Williamsburg, and Gloucester waking up to snow coating their yards and streets. We appreciate everyone who either posted their photos or sent them into us to our newsroom. I had a lot of people on our Daybreakers group message and say, hey, we're seeing snow this morning. You can see how it was just a nice little coating there, anywhere from a dusting up to about an inch or so. So a little bit of a winter wonderland to wake up to. And with the cold temperatures over the course of the weekend, that snow did stick, but again, nothing too significant. Now, we're not the only place dealing with cold weather. Even in fact, today, there are 60 million people, including the Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina area, who are under cold weather alerts from the mid-Atlantic up through the northeast. So we're going to head up to the frozen Lake Erie. There was a large crack in the ice across Lake Erie, and it was seen forming on satellite imagery on Sunday following very strong winds. These animated images from NOAA showed a massive ice sheet fracturing and drifting towards the west shore of the lake. Now, the crack is estimated to be 1 to 2 miles wide in the widest spot, according to a Facebook post by Erie Weather Now. Now, from New York to Vermont, even further, where a shortage of road salt is impacting several towns trying to dig out and clean up from the snow. CNN contributor Charlotte Hancock has the story.
That's the sound communities around Vermont are hearing less and less. The salt shortage is impacting more than a dozen towns in the Green Mountain State, but winter weather shows no signs of stopping. Snowplow companies say they are working to keep the roads safe, but without the tools they need, challenges keep cropping up.
We're honoring our contracts, but we're having to make tough choices because right now, our salt shed that we have a limited quantity left, and we're saving it for only emergencies.
The owner of Jay's Snow Plowing says they saw a 46% salt price increase from last season. But he says price is only part of the problem.
It's not just a specific area. Our salt we get from all over the place. We have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary place that we get it. Our primary and secondary are out right now. Our tertiary is a little bit further away.
Jay says he's now forced to mix in sand to make the supply last. Other companies that maintain large commercial properties say they're making adjustments too.
Supply is pretty low right now, but it's, you know, we do our best to make sure that all the chain stores are well properly sorted out.
Uzel McFarland works for Interactive Maintenance Services. And while they are not mixing in sand, he said they've had to change their plow process.
We just pay for more because that way it cleans the grounds more better.
Now the state is stepping in. VTrans recently announced temporary relief for salt contractors to pause deliveries to state stockpiles, allowing them to focus on supplying towns and local customers first. In the meantime, officials are urging extra caution on the roads.
Slow down, drive below the speed limit, drive within your capabilities. And snow tires are always good, but they're not going to help in the long run. And
reminding drivers to expect icy spots and plan for longer travel times while supplies remain low. In South Burlington, I'm Charlotte Hancock, NBC 5 News.
Now, when we come back after a short break, we're going abroad. Parts of Spain are living with serious flooding, while parts of Japan are digging out of significant snow. Plus, I have a look at what to expect over the course of the work week here in the 757 and 252. Again, all after the break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. We're heading to Spain for our next story. Now, this video shows significant flooding in the Cadiz and Malaga provinces of the country. More than 11,000 people have been forced to leave their homes in that region of Spain, and nearly 170 roads have been closed. According to the State Meteorological Agency, rainfall is expected to intensify again today. Now, we're going to switch back over into the snow. And in parts of Japan, the country have been dealing with serious snow for weeks. This next video shows residents in a city driving through the accumulation while people there try to clear out the snow. In the background, Japan's Fire and Disaster Management Agency has reported at least 45 deaths related to the snow since January the 20th. Now, in this case, the agency has urged local residents to remain alert when it comes to traffic disruptions and to be cautious of avalanches in heavy snow areas from northern to western Japan. Now, we are going to talk more about this work week here in Hampton Roads, where we are watching for the cold air to stick around for today. But for those who may be looking for some good news, I am bringing it for your Monday. Tomorrow, we're finally back into the mid-50s. I am watching for temperatures, though, to slip as we progress through the rest of the work week. We're talking falling temperatures and increasing rain chances heading into Valentine's Day weekend. So a little bit of a messier situation setting up. Right now, here's a look at what's happening on satellite and radar, and we have high pressure in control. And as it remains in control, this will give us sunshine, but this high pressure system is a cold high pressure system, meaning that it's going to keep the cold air locked in place to Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina for today. So right now you can see that it is a beautiful start to our day as we're around 9:20 this morning. This is a look from our Chamberlain camera over the waters in Hampton. Not even a cloud from this view, so mostly sunny to bright sunny skies across the 757 and the 252. Temperatures right now are sitting in the lower to middle 20s. It's 23 degrees in Norfolk, 25 in Virginia Beach, 24 in Hampton, 22 in Newport News, 24 in Suffolk, 23 in Elizabeth City, and 25 down in Emmanio. These light blue colors, those are your feels like temperatures, so how it actually feels to your skin. And at this point, everyone is feeling more like the teens. We did have some areas that felt more like the single digits this morning, but still feeling like the teens is still brutally cold for some people, especially around the eastern shore. So make sure that you're bundled up, you have the layers, because at least if you have more layers, you can shed them when you get into a warmer area. Cold weather advisories I just showed you this morning, criteria for that feels like temperatures 10 degrees and below. We've already exceeded our advisory criteria. We've risen well above that for most areas. So this is going to be allowed to expire at 10 a.m. But you can see that the cold weather advisory stretches from all the peninsulas down through Hampton Roads and in northeastern North Carolina. Again, as I mentioned, notice how we don't have cold weather advisories for places around Richmond down through the I-95 corridor. Remember that our criteria differs across the state. So we have a little bit of a more lenient criteria where wind chills can be around 10 degrees to trigger this type of advisory. Inland, it has to be colder, more around 5 degrees. You have closer to the mountains, closer to 0 for a cold weather advisory. So that's why we have it today. We did verify that there were some areas that did have feels like temperatures below 10. So it definitely was appropriate for this morning. But again, by 10 a.m., we're no longer going to be underneath that winter weather advisory. Through the course of the day today, you'll notice that we'll have north winds, and that will continue to pull in that cooler air as high pressures. It's just to our west. Temperatures will rise to the lower 30s by the time we get to noon today. Sunshine continues. Highs today will scrape barely above freezing in the middle to upper 30s. We're going to see some upper 20s and lower 30s around the eastern shore. Sunshine continues through the afternoon. So it's going to be a sunny but very cold day with high temperatures here on your Monday, about 15 to 20 degrees below normal for this time of year. We should be around 52 degrees for a normal high temperature during a mid-February day. We continue through the evening time and overnight, a few passing clouds, especially for the peninsulas. No rain in sight for tonight. Temperatures will be in, or snow at that point, since it will be colder than freezing, but no precipitation for tonight. Temperatures in the upper 20s. Now, I stopped this here for a specific reason. You can look at the compass or you can look at the wind arrows. Notice how the wind arrows are now coming from the south. The compass showing south-southwest winds. When you have that transition from north winds through the day and south winds overnight, those south winds will transport some warmer air, keeping us a little bit warmer than the previous night. Lows last night into this morning were in the teens. Tomorrow night, tonight into tomorrow morning, we're going to see temperatures starting off in the 20s. So we'll have a much warmer start to the day tomorrow with a really warm afternoon. Now, in terms of feels like temperatures for the rest of the day or wind chills, as Hunter explained, we'll have feels like temperatures in the teens and 20s through the rest of the morning. We get into the afternoon and it's going to feel more like the lower 30s. So you still need to bundle up if you're out and about through the course of the day. We still could have the potential maybe of a little bit of frostbite if you are not properly dressed. That means you need to wear a hat, gloves, protect your fragile extremities like your fingers and your ears. Now, high pressure is in control now. That will slide offshore. The combination of high pressure moving out of the way, plus this front right here bringing some showers to the deep south, will move north as a warm front. That will bring us a big boost in temperatures by tomorrow. So for tomorrow, expect temperatures to start off in the upper 20s. By the afternoon, though, very mild. We're talking highs tomorrow in the middle 50s. And for us here at Hampton Roads, we haven't seen 50s plus since January the 22nd. So it's been about 2 to 3 weeks since we've hit temperatures near or above normal. And for me specifically, I'm a girl who loves to go out for a nice walk. So tomorrow will be that day, especially because I'm anticipating for temperatures to fall off through the course of the work week. Once we get into the temperatures after sunset, we'll plateau into the upper 40s. And also tomorrow will be the first day in a long time that we've seen our sunrise before 7 a.m. So the days are getting longer, and just a little bit now, less than 1 month from now, we'll spring forward. So days are getting longer, and as days get longer, temperatures start to rise with meteorological spring starting on March 1st. Now let's talk about the 7-day precipitation chances. I say precip during this time of year because sometimes this takes into account a little bit of some snow. So through the course of the week, we may see an isolated shower or two on Wednesday. Looks like chances for rain maybe going slightly down. Friday and Saturday also tracking a little bit of a potential for maybe a wintry mix late on Friday, which would maybe be some rain, maybe a wet snowflake or two. Not expecting any impactful accumulations at this point. But Saturday night into Sunday morning, it looks like the American model, as far as I've seen, showing a lot of that potential for heavier rainfall on Sunday into Monday. So hopefully we can get through most of Valentine's Day with the rain coming through later, so that most of the day is left for you all to celebrate your loved ones. But it looks like Sunday will definitely be, of the 2 weekend days, the rainiest one. So here's a look at the American model, or the GFS. I stopped it at Wednesday morning, where you can see maybe an isolated shower for the Outer Banks. Now this is only one model, so this is not the end all be all, and things are likely to change as that cold front rolls through, but it looks like we're starting a drier trend than previously projected models. We get into Friday, Saturday, and looks like it's mainly dry for most of the day on Saturday according to the American model. Cloud cover still sticking around. It wouldn't even be until Sunday morning and then Sunday afternoon where heavier rainfall is coming through, and we could use some of that rainfall. Some of the areas around Virginia and North Carolina are underneath some portions of a drought. So the rain will be very helpful. And it's going to be nice that we're dealing with rain instead of snow at this point. So impacts will be a little bit less major when it comes to having rain versus winter weather, especially because temperatures around this area for the weekend, especially on Sunday, should be well above freezing. So here's a look at the 10-day temperature trend, and you can see how we're going to hit the middle 50s tomorrow, low 50s Wednesday, then drop off to the low 40s behind our front from Wednesday for the rest of the work week into the early parts of the weekend. This is Valentine's Day right here, Saturday, with temperatures maybe in the lower 40s. Then next week looks to be lovely after we've had temperatures well below freezing for a minute. And when I say a minute, we're talking 2.5 weeks. Sunday through Thursday of next week look to be near or above normal for this time of year. And for me, this may even feel like a heat wave. So I'm excited, I'm just joking, but I'm excited that we finally have some warmer temperatures on tap. Your 5 to 7 day forecast shows temperatures in the mid-30s for today, back into the mid-50s for tomorrow. And then as we take this graphic full, you'll see the rest of the next 7 days where temperatures will fall back down to lower 40s. I did keep the potential of a little bit of a wintry mix possible on Friday, just because earlier this morning, right around 3 a.m. when I came in, the Weather Prediction Center did have an area of maybe some mixed precipitation for Virginia. So we'll keep that in place. But of course, this can change. Really, the accuracy is only best from about today through about Wednesday afternoon. When you get to the end of the week, things are likely to change. But temperatures should rise back to the 50s by early next week. Remember, you can always stay up to date on the forecast on getting the top of news for breaking news, traffic, and updates sent straight to your phone on the 13 News Now mobile app. You can scan the QR code on your screen and download the app for free. Thank you so much for joining me here on the Weather Desk. Again, I'm certified broadcast meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, based in Norfolk, Virginia. So southeastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina is our realm. But of course, the Weather Desk goes all around the country and all around the world for the latest and top weather headlines. I'll be here with you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 9 a.m. See you then.